You're listening to Entrepreneur's Enigma, a podcast about the ups and downs of the entrepreneurial journey. Every week, your host Seth Goldstein interviews entrepreneurs from all walks of life about their entrepreneurial journeys. From store owners to Fortune 500 CEOs, we all have stories to tell. So sit back and join us for the next 20 or so minutes while we explore the entrepreneurial world. Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. Well, we're at 200 and something episodes. You know who I am. I'm Seth, your host with the most. Today, I have Angela Frank on here, the show. I don't know how to introduce you, but I do. Angela Frank is a fractional CMO with a decade-long track record of generating multi-million-dollar marketing revenue for clients. That's very multi-million-dollar. That's pretty cool. She's the founder of the Growth Directive, a marketing consultancy helping brands create sustainable marketing programs. She has a book out, so everyone should go rush and get the book. Your Marketing Ecosystem, how brands can market less and sell more, and it helps business owners, founders, and corporate leaders create straightforward and profitable marketing strategies. She also has a podcast the show's on. That's where we met, and where she shares actionable tips to help you build a profitable brand around what you love. And it's called the Growth Pod Podcast. So we're into it. So Angela, welcome. How you doing?
Seth, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're one of the few people who have a good microphone to have on this show. A good microphone. I'm not even wearing headphones. I'm evil. You're at least wearing headphones. You're a better podcaster than me. So boo-boo.
No, I have to hear myself in my headphones. So that way I know if I'm making weird mouth noises in the mic. I got to do it.
Oh, the weird mouth noises. Got to watch out for those. Tricks and tips and dips and all that stuff. Yeah. So Angela, how'd you get into the fractional CMO business? I mean, well, how did this journey start? This decade-long track record?
Yeah. So it actually started when I started my own little ecommerce business. I was moving every couple of months when my husband was in the military, and I needed something that moved with us. This was before remote work was really a thing. So I started a little Etsy shop. And the first thing that you realize when you get into business is like, marketing is so critical to your success because nobody knows about you. So how are you going to help people know about you?
You are literally a tree in a forest.
Yeah,
exactly.
100%. So then my husband got out of the military and I really didn't like selling products. And so I'm like, okay, great. We're going to be somewhere for a while. Let me get a more traditional job. And I was able to get a few different roles as marketing director, head of growth, just kind of doing the corporate ladder climb and trying to see where I could take it.
So you did jump into corporate. Yeah, exactly.
I did. Yeah. And I really realized that businesses between that like $1 and $20 million mark really don't need somebody leading marketing full time, but they still need that marketing strategy.
Don't tell the CMOs that.
Don't tell them. Exactly. No, but they still do need marketing strategy. And the other thing that I noticed is, again, don't tell the CMOs, but a lot of them aren't actually that great at marketing strategy because they go through their narrow lane of marketing, right? If you're like just running paid ads for your whole career and then you get to that top of the ladder, well, how do you know how everything works together? And I've found that a lot of them really don't. And so with those two things that I realized they don't need full-time support, but they still need strategy and not a lot of people can provide that, I was able to transition my role into a fractional support role. And I started building my client portfolio just from there.
There you go. So you've been doing that for a decade.
Yeah.
So you've been doing the entrepreneurial journey for a decade. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, it's the 5-year mark, and they're like, "I'm going back to corporate," or "This isn't working," or you seriously have hit your stride, and you just kept on going.
Yeah,
that's great. So, and then you decided to write the book on it, which is kind of cool. That's a whole other endeavor that no one's prepared to do. So
yeah,
when did you write the book? That's a recent endeavor, right?
Yep, it came out in July 13th.
Oh, really recent.
Of this year. So it was something that wasn't really on my roadmap for this year, but I interviewed Mike Capuzzi on my podcast, and he has this method called a SHOOK, a short, helpful book. Right. I see
Yeah.
you are an avid reader just like me. And the
Yeah.
thing with business
Fiercely.
books are they're very long. And so normally you kind of get the gist of what's going on in the first couple of chapters. And then they kind of
Even in the introduction,
yeah.
really.
And then they just kind of reiterate that point over and over again. But with Mike's
Yeah.
method, you write a really short book. So my book is only like 100 pages, and it's designed to be super quick, impactful, cut the fluff so you can go learn the
Mm,
system and implement it in your business. And
love it.
one, the reason that I wrote it was so people could understand my process.
She's got props, everybody. She's got
I've got
props. Exactly.
prompts.
We're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
So people could understand my process, but also through writing the book, I really found that, one of my insecurities going into business was that I was more of a marketing generalist, but
Yeah.
the superpower behind that I've kind of already alluded to is understanding how everything plays together in a broader strategy perspective.
You're like the Zapier of marketing.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Exactly
Connecting
right.
all the dots and stuff.
Yeah,
You got it. You got it, 'cause it's like you can be in one field. I mean, like, you may have a favorite side of marketing, but you need to know how everything
yeah,
connects. If you don't, it's like you're just kinda treading water.
yeah. So the book was good, one, for explaining my process, but two, helping me realize that, there is like a unique value proposition in what I can provide my clients. So
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I wrote a, podcasting 101 book. This is lead capture form. I think it's like 28 pages, and, like, people are like, "This is great," because it's, like, 28
yeah,
pages. It's like you can read it in 5 minutes and walk away with at least a tip. Like, these business books, like, I buy them, I read most of them, I never finish most of them. I really don't, and
yeah,
I always blame it on my ADHD, which, is strong, it's my superpower and all that, but also I don't like to be taught that forever and ever and ever, unless they have good stories. Like, Jay Baer is known for his stories and his anecdotes and stuff like that. Jason Falls, who's, on my network here, that does, runs the Marketing Podcast Network. Great stories in the book, so it's like you can pad the book to make it more of a book. But if you're just trying to get to the point.
yeah,
Give me the meat, and let's get on with it. Let me go. I'll write you a testimonial and all that, but you don't have to give me like you don't have to kill a bunch of trees for me.
yeah.
That kind of thing.
I love that.
That's awesome. So when did the podcast come out? Because I mean, all these things are like little branches off your tree. Like you're doing the business, you wrote the book. I mean, you've had the podcast for a little bit longer, right?
Yeah, so the podcast, we started January of this year, so we're
Oh
coming
wow,
almost up on the year mark for that, and it's been really
yay!
amazing. I know, like, you can
Isn't it
probably
fun?
relate. You learn so
Yeah,
much when you bring somebody on. Your episode you mentioned at the start, to me before we started recording is about 20 minutes, that's what I do too,
yeah.
and when you do
I,
that
I
shorter
commute.
window,
I commute.
you
Yeah.
really can, like, learn somebody's expertise, and so often I'm like, "That is a no-brainer, why am I not doing that?" And so then I can leave the episode and go and immediately implement.
It also gets me to be able to meet people that I would not normally have reason to reach out to or not have a call to action. Like, "Hey, be on my podcast. Let's chat for 20
Yeah,
minutes." There's nothing I'm selling. It's just let's chat for 20 minutes and let's go from there. Nothing. Now I've found you on Threads. So you're prolific on
yeah,
Threads, which I'm very happy to see because I've gone off the Musk train
yeah,
a long time ago. And there's stuff going on in the WordPress ecosystem that I kind of wish I was on Twitter to look at right now. We'll not call it X, but I'm happy to see people jumping on Threads because that's a gateway drug to the Fediverse, where I'm very big on the Fediverse. So I'm very happy to see you're on there. And so here's the question: what is the best thing about being an entrepreneur? I mean, you've done entrepreneur, like literally, homegrown entrepreneur making products, selling on Etsy. Then you've gone corporate, and then you're like, you're calling it out. I could do this better and not do it on my own. And you went back to entrepreneurship. What's the best thing about being an entrepreneur? Both sides, actually.
yeah, I think just the ability to okay, so there's a couple things.
Oh, of course.
Since really taking the consulting business seriously, it's been amazing. One, just on quality of life. Today, I got
Oh
up at
yeah.
9:30 because I'm a
I'll
late
rub it
sleeper.
in. Rub it in.
Yeah, and sometimes I can't do that because 'cause I'll have an early morning meeting, but just being able to more honor like the way that my body wants to operate instead of like what the corporate world wants me to operate,
Mhm.
I am able to show up more rested, more excited,
That's
and
for sure.
have just better creative thinking. And not only is that great for my business, but it helps my clients as well because I can bring my best self to the table every day. They are always getting like
I
the
like that.
best version of me when we are meeting.
When you're awake,
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
important. Kind of important. That's great. And what keeps you up at night as an entrepreneur? I mean, the flip side, obviously, there's never, it's not all roses and, daffodil, what?
Yeah. I think
Sunshine and rainbows is the term, I
if
think.
I were
Yeah.
able to clone myself, and make like
Oh,
4 or 5 clones of myself, I think all of my entrepreneurial problems would be solved. Really, it's just there's a bulk of work that needs to be done. Our team right
mhm.
now is quite small. It's me and my husband full time, and then we have a team of contract workers. Uh,
You work with your husband.
yeah,
You're brave.
yeah,
I mean, I work all honesty, my wife does do the books and stuff like that, but if we were working full time together, we'd kill each other.
yeah. So he completely owns the content arm of our business. He has worked previously for Mr. Beast, and so he comes
Oh,
and
he's a content dude,
yeah.
yeah.
So we're still ramping up some of our systems and processes, but that's really what he owns and is in charge of, especially because we're
You
the
have your
yeah,
lanes, that's kind of important,
yeah,
yeah.
and
You're still the boss.
that is how we've structured it so we don't argue forever because we're both very, opinionated, strong-willed type of people, but
Yeah.
that was something that when he came on, he's like, "Listen, I will fight if I feel that it is worth fighting over, but at the end
Mhm.
of the day, you have the final say, and, if you just don't feel
Smart
it's worth it."
man,
Yeah.
smart man. Happy wife, happy
Yeah.
life, both in business and in life.
Right.
Even though I own the company fully, it's my company and all that, like, still, I defer to my wife on a lot of things. I'm like, "Look, hon, you have a better business brain sometimes than I do. What do you think about this?" And she's like, and tells me.
Yeah.
Um, so here's the question of the hour of the podcast here. What is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
Water. I've got my
Oh,
water bottle right here.
no one's ever said that. No one has ever said that on this podcast in 240 plus episodes.
Yeah. No, I always have water on me. It actually was such a pervasive thing in high school that my mom thought I was a diabetic, and she had me tested for diabetes several times, but I just like to be hydrated.
Oh, because you like the water. Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
and
She's like,
and
"You
also
like
I
water too
had,
much."
I'll, like, go a while without eating, so then my blood sugar will get really low, but that's really just how
No,
I am. I'm not diabetic, so
no.
yeah.
You eat when you wanna
Yeah.
eat, and you don't wanna eat, you don't eat,
Mhm.
and that's kinda how it works, exactly. So, Angela, this has been so much fun. If people wanna find you, LinkedIn, Threads, where's the best place I mean, we'll have all the links and all the things in the show notes, but, like, where's your biggest watering hole online?
It's definitely LinkedIn, but also if you enjoyed our conversation and you love business, I'd also
Mhm.
recommend my podcast, The Growth Pod, which you can find
Please,
at
yeah.
growthpod.fm, links to all your
Ooh,
favorite
you sprung
podcasts.
for the FM. Wow, that's an expensive one.
Yeah, it was on sale. I did see it's up for renewal,
Oh,
and it's a
scam.
little bit more expensive than I
And you're like,
anticipated,
"Oy!"
but here we
You're like,
go.
"Oh god," yeah. Yeah, FM was that's like $90 now. It's like,
Yeah,
"Oh my god."
yeah, and
It's the Federated States of Micronesia, if you wanna know what it actually belongs to.
really? That's
Yeah.
so interesting, I
It's
didn't know
little
that.
I always look them up, and I always like I know what most domain names what they belong to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why like TV is Tivolo, which is it might disappear if it goes underwater. So that'll be
Hmm,
interesting. So
interesting.
the more you know,
Yeah.
right? So LinkedIn, go find Angela on LinkedIn. Get her book. Is it on? It's on Amazon,
Yeah,
right?
it's on Amazon, but you could also get a free digital copy, yourbrandEvolve.com/free book, one word, and you can
I like
download a
that.
free digital version, but it's also on Amazon if you're like me and you like the physical copy. Yeah.
Yeah, something about physical copies of you can market them and stuff like that. I mean, I already have the digital. I knew about the digital, so I kind of got it. I read it. It was very
Oh,
good.
thank you.
Yeah, and guess what? We'll see everyone next week.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please consider giving us a review in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps us reach new listeners. If you like Entrepreneur's Enigma, consider the other shows on the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcast.net.
Team Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.